Single dad protects woman from two attackers in restaurant. 15 seconds later, they learned he was Navy. The atmosphere inside Romano's family restaurant was warm and familiar. Clattering dishes, the scent of garlic bread, and the chatter of families enjoying their Friday dinners. For Ryan Carter, this had become a ritual. Every week for the past 3 years, he and his daughter Zoe had sat at table 6, sharing pizza and trying to hold on to the quiet life he'd built in Cedar Falls. Ryan was no longer the man he once had been. 8 years as a Navy SEAL had left him with instincts that never really went away, but he had traded those battlefields for plumbing jobs, paint-stained hands, and a promise of normalcy for Zoe. The booth against the wall gave him a clear view of the room and both exits, a habit Zoe thought was just her father being picky, but one he could never quite shake. Tonight, though, something felt wrong. His instincts whispered of danger, a familiar chill running along his arms. Across the restaurant sat a woman, alone, nervous, checking her phone as though waiting for news that wasn't coming. She had ordered coffee, but hadn't taken a sip. Her hands trembled ever so slightly as she pretended to read the menu. Ryan knew the signs. Someone being watched, someone running. "Daddy," Zoe whispered, her crayon pausing over the picture of a seahorse she was coloring. "Why does that lady look scared?" Ryan glanced at the woman again, Rebecca Martinez. He didn't know her yet, but her fear was obvious. "Sometimes grown-ups have worries, sweetheart," he said gently, cutting her another slice of pizza. "Like how you worry about a test at school, only bigger." Before he could say more, the door opened. 3 men walked in, their polished suits out of place in the cozy little restaurant. They didn't ask for menus, didn't wait to be seated. They walked with purpose, straight toward Rebecca's table. Ryan's muscles tightened instinctively. Their shoes clicked on the linoleum like a countdown clock. The leader was tall, broad, with streaks of grey at his temples, and the kind of presence that filled a room with quiet menace. His 2 companions moved with military precision, blocking Rebecca's escape before she even thought of running. "Miss Martinez," the leader said smoothly, his tone casual but heavy with threat. "You've been avoiding our calls." Her coffee cup rattled as she set it down. "I told you already. I'm not interested. Find another lawyer." The man slid into her booth without invitation, while the other 2 loomed behind her. Their presence silenced the restaurant. Families fell quiet. Even the waitress ducked behind the counter, no doubt reaching for the phone. Ryan's grip tightened on his fork. Every instinct screamed to act, but Zoe was right there. He had sworn never to let violence touch her life again. "See, that's where you're wrong," the man continued. "You don't walk away from Victor Castellanos. Not when you know what you know." The crash of a plate against the wall made Rebecca flinch. One of the suited men had swept it aside in a casual display of force. Now all 3 leaned in close, whispering threats only she could hear. "Daddy!" Zoe's voice trembled now, her coloring forgotten. Ryan met her wide, frightened eyes, and something inside him shifted. For 3 years he had tried to bury the man he used to be, but sometimes protecting innocence meant embracing the darkness once more. He stood slowly, the scrape of his chair echoing through the silent restaurant. Rebecca's eyes caught his across the room, and in that moment she realized this quiet plumber wasn't ordinary at all. Something dangerous was waking inside him. "Excuse me," Ryan said, his voice calm but sharp enough to cut through the tension. The 3 men turned toward him. The leader's face shifted from annoyance to calculation as he sized Ryan up. Paint-stained shirt, tired eyes, the look of an ordinary working man. But something in the way Ryan stood, too still, too ready, made the other 2 men fidget. They recognized it, even if their boss didn't. "Mind your business, pal," the leader said, dismissive. "This is a private conversation." Ryan's gaze flicked briefly to Zoe, still clutching her crayon with trembling hands, then back to the suited men. His voice stayed level, but steel edged every word. "My business is making sure my daughter can finish her dinner in peace. Your business seems to be scaring people. Looks like we've got a conflict of interest." The leader rose, towering at 6'4", expecting the smaller man to back down. Ryan didn't. He closed the distance with 3 smooth steps. What followed lasted only 15 seconds but felt like slow motion. Ryan's hand snapped forward, twisting the leader's wrist until bone cracked with a sharp pop. Before the man even fell, Ryan pivoted, driving an elbow into the second thug's chest. Air whooshed out of him as he collapsed to the floor. The third man reached inside his jacket, too slow. Ryan's grip crushed his wrist, forcing him to drop whatever weapon he'd been reaching for, then shoved him backward into a table. The restaurant froze. Silence fell, broken only by groans from the men on the floor and the faint scratch of Zoe's crayon resuming its work. Ryan straightened his shirt like nothing had happened. His eyes, however, never left the men. The leader cradled his broken wrist, hatred burning through his pain. "This isn't over," he snarled. "Yes, it is," Ryan replied quietly. "You're going to walk out of here. You're going to forget Miss Martinez. And if I see you or anyone like you in my town again, we'll have another conversation. One you won't enjoy." The authority in his voice was absolute. The men backed toward the door, dragging their wounded pride with them. The leader glared one last time before disappearing into the night. The room slowly came back to life. Patrons whispering, waitresses peeking from behind the counter, parents shuffling their children toward the exit. But most eyes lingered on Ryan, seeing not a plumber, but something far more dangerous. Zoe looked up, her young voice cutting through the murmurs. "My daddy was in the Navy," she said, as if explaining away the impossible. Then she went back to coloring. Rebecca Martinez sat frozen in her booth, staring at him with a mix of gratitude and confusion. She had seen combat footage before. She knew the difference between a street brawl and trained precision. Ryan Carter wasn't just ex-military, he was something more. "Thank you," she whispered at last. But Ryan had already sat back down, slicing pizza for Zoe, as if the last 2 minutes hadn't just shattered the life he had worked so hard to build. By the time the police arrived, the 3 suited men were long gone. Witnesses told the same story. A stranger had defended a woman from harassment, nothing more. Security cameras had conveniently glitched during the crucial moments. Ryan gave a statement that was true enough, but revealed nothing of who he really was. Rebecca approached him once the officers left. Zoe was back to coloring dolphins now, humming softly as if nothing had happened. "What you did tonight?" Rebecca's voice was low. "Those men weren't bluffing. They work for Victor Castellanos. You probably saved my life." Ryan shook his head. "I just saw someone in trouble." But she wasn't convinced. Her eyes studied him, sharp and searching. "You moved like special forces, and your daughter said Navy. I've represented enough veterans to recognize it. What's a former SEAL doing working as a plumber in Cedar Falls?" Her words froze him. She was dangerous in a way the thugs hadn't been, because she saw through his mask. Rebecca reached into her purse and slid a card across the table. "Castellanos is covering up a defense contracting scandal. Faulty body armor. Soldiers have died because of it. I've been trying to expose him. That's why they want me silenced." Her gaze hardened. "I could use someone with your skill set." "I'm not interested," Ryan said firmly, but his hand lingered near the card. Then she spoke a name that knocked the air from his lungs. "Captain Benjamin Rodriguez." Ryan's entire world tilted. Captain Rodriguez, his commanding officer, his mentor, the man who had died saving his life. "How do you know that name?" Ryan whispered. "Because he was my father," Rebecca replied softly. "And he died protecting you. He was investigating Castellanos when it happened. I've spent years finishing what he started." Ryan's hands clenched. Ghosts he had buried resurfaced, dragging with them promises he had made over a flag-draped coffin. Zoe looked up at the adults, sensing the tension. "Daddy, Captain Rodriguez was a hero, right? And heroes help people, even when it's scary." Her simple words cut through Ryan like a blade. Rebecca leaned closer. "I can't do this alone. But with you, we might actually stop him. For the soldiers who died. For my father." Ryan closed his eyes. He had left the Navy to protect Zoe, to give her stability. Yet here was the daughter of the man who had saved his life, asking for his help to finish a mission that never should have been buried. At last, he spoke. "If I help you, we do it my way. No unnecessary risks. Zoe's safety comes first. The second I think she's in danger, I walk away. No arguments." Rebecca nodded. Relief washed over her face. "Deal." As Zoe slipped her hand into his, Ryan realized that some battles couldn't be avoided. Some promises carried forward, whether he wanted them to or not. The quiet life he had built was gone. Ahead lay danger, truth, and a fight he could no longer escape. But this time, he wasn't fighting alone. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button for more emotional, dramatic, and unexpected tales. And let us know in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from all of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.